Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rio Rancho Regional Chamber and Rio Rancho Observer Candidate Forum. In this forum, we will be going with New Mexico State Senate District 9. So the two candidates for District 9 are Cindy Nava and Audrey Trujillo. So we'll get started first of all with a couple of the rules that are in this, and that being that each candidate will be given a 1-minute opening, 1-minute closing. We will alternate between each one will go first at a different time, different question. We'll flip back and forth until they get to the closing. From that standpoint, every candidate that we are reviewing today or that we are asking questions for will not have the same questions. These two for District 9 will answer the same question back and forth, but those in other districts may not get the same exact questions. So that being said, we flipped a coin to start this off, and the winner was Audrey Trujillo for the coin flip. So you will start out with the opening. You have 1 minute.
Alrighty. Good afternoon. My name is Audrey Trujillo, and I am running to be your next senator in Senate District 9, which incorporates Sandia Pueblo, Town of Bernalillo, Village of Corrales, Algodones, Placitas, east side of Rio Rancho, west side of Albuquerque. I'm a lifelong New Mexican and a 25-year resident of my district. I'm running because I want to fairly represent our district's voice at the legislature. I want to unite our community on the issues that matter the most. We can work together and find solutions that benefit our community and our citizens. New Mexico deserves a better representation in the legislature, and our government needs to be balanced. I want quality education, a strong economy, a justice system that keeps dangerous criminals off the streets, and a secured border. My plan is to work on strong solutions and legislation that keeps our citizens safe, prosperous, and healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And our next candidate is Cindy Nava.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rio Rancho Chamber and the Observer for hosting tonight's event. Buenas tardes. My name is Cindy Nava, and I am a proud immigrant, a policy advocate, and the daughter of Norma, a housekeeper, and Javier, a construction worker. I'm the proud product of New Mexico Public Schools and incredibly caring educators who always went the extra mile to support. I was the first in my family to graduate from college and the first former DACA recipient to receive a presidential appointment where I served as the senior policy advisor to Secretary Marcia Fudge at the Department of Housing and Urban Development. But I've got to tell you, knocking doors across Senate District 9 has been incredibly enlightening. I've been hearing issues from crime to education, and people are looking for solutions, and that is why I am running. Policies matter. Bipartisanship matters, and I am more than ready to get working juntos y unidos for Senate District 9.
Okay, thank you. All right, Cindy, you have the very first question, and it will be answered by Tracy with the Observer.
Hi, this is going to be a 2-minute question, and it's on workforce expansion. What initiatives would you consider addressing for addressing workforce shortages in key industries, and how can the state better support the development of high-demand skills?
Thank you very much for the question. I want to tell you that is a high concern as a young person who came back to New Mexico and has a lot of friends who have left the state because of lack of workforce opportunities. I know that we are hurting, and I know that we need to be innovative and ensure that we are serving and supporting our workers. We truly need to ensure that we are meeting that minimum wage, that we are raising the minimum wage to attract folks into New Mexico. We really need to be invested, though, in apprenticeships, paid apprenticeships. I've been hearing it nonstop on the trail. People want opportunity. And look, I'm an education person, but we need to diversify access. We need to ensure that we are supporting students if they want to take a technical career path versus a higher ed. I think we need to ensure that we diversify opportunity, that we protect and support them, and ensure that workers have the ability to grow and also ensuring that they have a livable wage, because inflation is a reality. Our families are hurting, and we need to ensure that we are putting money back into the hands of communities. Thank you.
Okay, Audrey, you have the same question. Do you need it repeated?
Yes, please.
Okay. What initiatives would you consider for addressing workforce shortages in key industries, and how can the state better support the development of high-demand skills?
Well, first of all, we need to build back our economy by supporting small businesses and local businesses, attracting new businesses by cutting and eliminating gross receipt taxes and increasing incentives that would promote innovations that create good-paying jobs. There's very few good-paying jobs here in New Mexico. Also, I support the trade schools, and I believe that internship programs to get our children ready for the jobs that we have here is very important, especially at the high school levels. I know there is a few programs that are happening right now through CNM. I have actually I have a high schooler and 2 graduates that were 20 and 21 are going to UNM. And this really helped them figure out what they wanted to do. And we just need to make sure that we keep a free market and capitalism in this state. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next question. This will be Audrey. This will be your question first to answer.
Okay, this is also a 2-minute question, and it's regarding crime and public safety. As a legislator, what legislative priorities would you focus on to reduce crime rates in our communities, and how can the state better support law enforcement agencies while addressing the root causes of crime?
Well, first of all, we got to keep our communities safe. We need to crack down on criminals, make sure they serve their time instead of being released to come and do another crime. We need swift penalties so justice can be served. I'm also in favor with the death penalty for heinous crimes. I think if there's no consequence, we have no, people are not afraid to repeat a criminal act. I would like to see the revolving door with our bonds. I'd like to see those cash bonds back. I think that was a horrible bill that was passed in the legislature that, well, actually, we voted on it, actually. And I think we saw that it did not work. We need mental health facilities, more of them. We need to make sure that the people that do not deserve to be behind bars are reintegrated into our society. And being able to do that, we need to make sure that they have a mental health care. And that's something that our legislation has not focused on, and I would like to focus on that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. Same question, Cindy. You need it repeated?
Sure.
Okay. As a legislator, what legislative priorities would you focus on to reduce crime rates in our communities, and how can the state better support law enforcement agencies while addressing the root causes of crime?
Well, I deeply believe that everyone across our district, and New Mexico, as a matter of fact, needs to ensure that they are feeling safe in their neighborhoods, in their schools, and throughout their communities. We need to ensure that our law enforcement officers are well-funded, well-trained, and that have the resources to reach communities. And we really need to address the revolving door on repeat offenders. People should not be let out until trial, because those things are damaging our communities. I have seen it, I'm sure you have seen it, our families have been victims. My own cousin was a victim of domestic violence, was locked in her home for 3 days, beat almost to death by a repeat offender who was let out and came right back out. And this happened in front of her 5-year-old child. This is a story of many. And we cannot continue to allow these folks, these criminals, to be out there. We need to ensure that we're holding them accountable. We need to ensure that we're supporting victims, that we have behavioral health support systems and infrastructure to address these issues. But accountability is a must.
Thank you, Cindy. Next question that we have, Cindy, you will start off first.
Okay, this one is on healthcare and malpractice insurance. and it is also a 2-minute response time that you're allowed. Given that New Mexico has some of the highest malpractice insurance costs in the nation, what legislative measures could be proposed to ensure that healthcare providers remain protected while maintaining affordable healthcare services for residents?
Thank you very much. This is an incredibly important question. We need to ensure that we are keeping healthcare professionals in the state. We need to also ensure that we are investing in ensuring that our education professionals are well funded and our institutions are well funded, and throughout the programs to ensure that we are building our own and that we're also incentivizing when we recruit. As someone who underwent brain surgery, an unexpected brain surgery 3 years ago, I will tell you, you're never going to be prepared for the unexpected. You don't plan on landing in the hospital. But when you do, you hope that the medical professionals that are needed are there to serve you, to serve your family, and to ensure that you can have those life-threatening surgeries and care that is so needed. New Mexicans are in a desperate situation to ensure that they're keeping their medical doctors here. I hear it at the doors nonstop, and I tell every single one of those constituents that I've talked to, we need to ensure that we're recruiting, that we are investing, and that we're listening to you. Because if we're not listening, we cannot claim that we have all the answers. This job is about collaborating and working across the aisle to ensure that we bring real solutions to the table. And that is why I am doing this. And as someone who has been in that jeopardizing situation, I can tell you I am extremely committed to ensuring that we have those resources in our state. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. Tracy, can you read the question once again for Audrey?
Yes. Given that New Mexico has some of the highest malpractice insurance costs in the nation, what legislative measures could be proposed to ensure that healthcare providers remain protected while maintaining affordable healthcare services for residents?
Well, because first of all, our professionals are leaving our state. A lot of our professional medical doctors. It takes weeks, months, even years sometimes to see a professional. So it's very important that we keep them here, and by increasing the malpractice insurance, that's just sending them off to another state again. Our rural communities are one of the ones that are being impacted with our private practices. A lot of our doctors are not able to afford this medical insurance increase, and like many, they will leave this state. I think we need to incentivize our young people that are looking to go to medical school at the University of New Mexico and make sure that they're given the opportunities to stay here in New Mexico, to be a professional medical person here. I have a son who is going for physical therapy, and it's so expensive. He's about ready to get into a physical therapy school, and it's going to be about $150,000. That's not a big incentive for someone who doesn't have that type of money. He may not complete that if he can't get the proper funding for that. But I think our New Mexicans, our citizens, should come first. And I think that we need to prioritize our youngsters and make sure that these professionals, are homegrown here in New Mexico. And any of our professionals that come from out of state, that they are also incentivized by hopefully even looking at property tax reduction. There's a lot of ways that we can keep our professionals here. Thank you.
Thank you, Audrey. Next question, you will start off. Tracy?
Okay, this one is regarding education. It is a 1-minute question. What can New Mexico do to move out of 50th in the nation when it comes to education rankings?
Well, first of all, I do believe in quality education for all of us, all our children. Smaller public school classes is a must. We have been faced with very populated classrooms, and it's really hard for teachers to teach in a classroom like that. So we need to allow the money to follow the child, and for parents to have available resources to make sure that they can go to the schools that they desire. Even a lot of the other areas where we have schools, charter schools, We need to pay our teachers competitive salaries and allow tax incentives for them to stay in their communities as well. And may possibly even be homeowners in their community so they do stay for a long period of time. We need qualified teachers as well. Right now, because we have such a shortage of teachers, we have people that didn't go to school for teaching that are teaching right now. So I think we need to get back to prioritizing our teachers and making sure that they are qualified.
Thank you, Audrey.
Thank you.
Cindy, same question. Tracy, you want to repeat that?
Yes. What can New Mexico do to move out of 50th in the nation when it comes to education rankings?
Thank you very much. Education has been a formative part of my entire path. As the first in my family to graduate from high school, starting at a community college, then transferring to a four-year institution, I know that education is the pathway to success and access. And I know that every single child in New Mexico needs to have that fair shot and fair opportunity. And they need to have a diversified range of opportunities. If it is vocational school, if it is a higher education that they're seeking, I think we need to ensure that the opportunities are there, that we are working to maximize, that we are listening to educators, and that we are incentivizing them, that we are listening to students, and that we are culturally competent when it comes to engaging those communities. This is not a one-way fixes all. We need to listen to educators to ensure that we are really absolutely reaching to the communities in a way that is respectful, that is mindful, and ensuring that we are addressing things like the Martinez-Yazzie lawsuit.
Thank you, Cindy. So we have time for a couple more questions.
Okay.
So Cindy, you'll get the first question.
All right, this is also a 1-minute question, and it has to do with election policy. Should New Mexico open its primary process to independents or those that decline to state a party?
You know, this has been a very popular question since the primary, and I believe we need to really look into what this means in terms of representation. What does it really mean in terms of who we're voting in? Let's learn about this. Let's look at the research. Let's look at the data before we make any specific action. I believe we should be absolutely working to ensure that as many voters as can vote can be out there at the polls. But we need to absolutely ensure that we know how we're moving forward, that we look at the data, and that we look at how this is affecting folks that are in elected office to ensure that representation is at the table and that communities have a voice. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy.
Okay, I'm going to repeat it for you, Audrey.
Sure. Thank you.
Should New Mexico open its primary process to independents and those that decline to state a party?
Well, as some of you know, that I ran for Secretary of State, so I'm really informed on election issues and what this means. Independents are over 300,000 of our population, and they pay taxes for our primaries, even though they cannot be part of the primaries. I do believe that they do deserve a voice, and I do believe that a two-party system right now is not giving a voice to New Mexicans. We need to make sure everybody comes to the table and is able to pick the strongest candidates, the most educated, and then we'll get quality people in there to represent us in New Mexico. But I do think that open primaries should be considered, and I think we do need to do a little bit more research on this, but we do have in place where a person of a party can change the day of election. So we're already looking into those things already.
Thank you, Audrey. Next question goes to you first, Audrey.
Okay, this is a 2-minute question, and it's regarding the expansion of FMLA in New Mexico. Paid family medical leave has been under consideration at the legislature for several years now. Do you support the current version of this bill as it has been proposed over the past 2 years? If not, would you suggest an alternative approach? If you do support it, what do you believe is a reasonable maximum premium that businesses and employees should contribute to share the cost?
Well, I think it should be an opt-in versus a mandatory, something that's mandatory. I think the employee needs to be able to opt in if they want to be in it, because a lot of people that I spoke to about this say they want more on their check versus having this taken out of their check, because it does come out of your check. Having anything state funded, to me, is a form of communism, because you're being forced to do something that is not, that you didn't want, you know what I mean? So Family Medical Leave Act in the small businesses would hurt our small businesses, those that cannot afford it. Family Medical Leave Act, like in bigger corporations, may not do that. So I think the business needs to make those choices, and the employees need to be able to opt in or opt out. That's my answer to that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Audrey. Tracy, can you repeat the question for Cindy?
Yes. Paid family medical leave has been under consideration at the legislature for several years now. Do you support the current version of this bill as it has been proposed over the past 2 years? If not, would you suggest an alternative approach? If you do support it, what do you believe is a reasonable maximum premium that businesses and employees should contribute to share the cost?
Thank you for the question. I absolutely think that we need to pass paid family medical leave. Too many families across the district and across New Mexico are one check away from bankruptcy when an emergency happens. You don't plan on being sick. You don't plan on family members being sick and having to support them. Again, as someone who underwent brain surgery 3 years ago, I lived it, and I understand what this means. We need to ensure that we do this and that we move forward. And yes, maybe we tweak it later on, but we need to move forward. We need to support workers. And really, we really need to ensure that we acknowledge the fact that we can pass paid family medical leave and support our businesses. But this is something that our state needs, and I will absolutely support.
Okay, thank you, Cindy. It's time for closing, and Cindy, you're up first.
Thank you very much.
You had some extra time to think about your
That
closing.
works. That works for me. Play the 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I've got to tell you, policy has never been an academic exercise for me. I have lived it in the same way that so many of you have each and every day, through the lens of your parents, through the lens of your children and your community. And I am incredibly proud to be running for office after 3 years of becoming a U.S. citizen. And I don't take that privilege to vote for granted. I take it to heart and with responsibility. And I tell you, my story is one of many, but I am committed to New Mexico Senate District 9, and I am committed to listening to every single person across that district that is able to share their concerns and their issues, because they vary. But I am here to ensure that we are collaborating, working together, again, through a bipartisan lens, because that is what we need. We don't walk around in Democratic and Republican bubbles. We walk around as humans and as people who are collective and who work together to get things done to help our communities. Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, Cindy. Audrey, you're closing.
Sure. First of all, I would like to thank the Rio Rancho Regional Chambers of Commerce and the Rio Rancho Observer for putting this forum together and allowing us to participate. New Mexico citizens are resilient, and we can turn this state around. By uniting and working together, I'm encouraged by the vast enthusiasm that I have witnessed going door to door and speaking to our citizens in our communities. I encourage everyone to get out and vote, because they need to vote the right candidates in office. For far too long, we have had the same party that has controlled our state, and the same problems continue to happen. The power for change relies on all of us. I thank you all for listening, and I hope that you decide that we are in a time where we can't afford to make a wrong choice. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Audrey. And that concludes the forum for Senate District 9. Once again, thank you, Cindy Nava, and thank you, Audrey Trujillo.